Man.
Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
And
And welcome to another episode of the Wicked Horror Show, powered by the Dorkin Podcast Network. And the ad you just saw, Deadly Grounds Coffee, they're our sponsor. We absolutely love them, and we love supporting indie artists, indie filmmakers, and they're an indie shop, little mom and pop shop here in Connecticut. Absolutely love them. Also, a couple items tonight. We're giving away 5 copies of the special. There's a link down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So if you head on over to the King Sumo link and enter, it doesn't cost you anything to enter. And we're going to be picking 5 winners at the end of next week's show. Also very cool, if you head on over to doofy2020.com, our guest tonight has some awesome shirts available. And with that, we have Kevin.
What's going on, everybody?
Tony.
What is going on, people?
Yo.
Hey, everybody.
Tony, would you like to introduce our awesome guest?
Sure, I will. He's from many movies that I'm sure many of you have seen. Scary Movie, Haunted House, Victor Crowley. In the movie The Special that Leo said we have 5 copies of that we're giving away. Plus more movies to come. Dave Sheridan, how are you?
What's up, America? Welcome to the Dorkening.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, The Special. So we had Sarah French on not that long ago as well to talk about The Special. It's definitely it's an interesting story. Without giving too much away, a guy bangs a box and falls in love with it, right?
Yes,
pretty much
a love story of a man and a hole in a box with his penis. And and luckily it's not me.
Right, but
my character just sets him up.
Right.
I read the script. I'm like, I'm not gonna fuck a box. So Davey Raphael's gonna fuck a box. That's fine. I'm in.
Technically, you did before, you know. So technically,
maybe I don't know. I say
just didn't
it's
show
amazing. I say once is enough. You're gonna love it, but maybe I just heard about it. I don't know if I've ever said I actually did it or not. I can't. I have to go back and watch the real details of it. I might be getting some sort of like because in the film I play the buddy of Davey Raphael who suspects his wife Sarah French of cheating on him, and I basically tell him, hey, a marriage is about equality, so maybe we should go fix it so there's no problems. I take him to an underground whorehouse, you could say, that's sort of like fronted as a palm reader's future, reader's house, so like a gypsy palm reader's place. So maybe I bring him there and I order the special for him because I say this is because he doesn't want to cheat with a woman. I go, no, this is perfect. There's a thing called the special. You're gonna love it, and it's basically a dick in a box joke. You the glory hole. You hump this box, and what's inside that we find out in the movie. As it unfolds.
And it's definitely there's a payoff at the end for sure when you see what's in there. It's wow.
It's a cool little film. It's sort of a creature movie. It's very Cronenberg in the sense of like it's just creepy and it's a small contained movie. No pun intended with contained in a box. But I like doing like independent films that have that sort of like not a lot of moving pieces. So you're not going to be overwhelmed by the budget. Like this, Harrison Smith directed it, and I think what drew me to it was a small contained story with only a few actors involved, and basically I knew that it was producible because of that. So I knew that it stood a good chance of turning out well, and it did. I think it's a pretty cool little film.
Yeah, so. I agree, and it's definitely different than some of the other stuff we've seen from Harrison as well. I mean, he's kind of he's done like camp movies, and he did Death House, and I was happy to see that he's going in a little different route as well, because there's some humor in here. I mean, it may not be intentional, and I was actually kind of curious. Like, did you improvise at all? Because there was like some little jabs that you threw that I was like, that sounded like it was off the cuff, but it was really good.
Oh yeah, well, I always improvise. I mean, because I can't memorize lines. So some actors want cue cards, and I'm like, just let me do my thing. So there's always improvisation within the scene structure. Yeah. That way it sounds more natural for me anyway. And Yeah, my character was sort of the levity of it all in a weird way. You know, I'm the buddy, so usually the buddy's the goofy guy in that kind of sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't super goofy, but yeah, there was like when you were following the madam or whatever up the stairs, and she said she was missing her stories, and you're like, oh, something about Matlock. I'm like, that has to be like off the cuff right there.
Oh yeah. I try to throw Matlock in a ton of movies. So I mean,
really,
that's like, to me, it's
I never noticed that.
It's always a funny. No, they don't make it. So this one made it.
This one made it.
No, it's a, I just want to think of like the dumbest thing she could be watching, the farthest thing, the most sort of innocuous. What's on a little tiny TV? That's because I think her line was in the thing of like, you're bothering me during my TV time or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But anyways, I'll shut up for a minute, Tony.
The thing I like about it is a lot of the I think we mention it all the time, but it's one of those things where a lot of independent movies have, just the plot of some of them. Some are, the straight narrow that just tell the story a little bit different. But there's a lot of independent movies out there that the plot is just so different that it's like, I guess it's a hit or miss. And when it hits, and sometimes it misses. But especially with this one, it's like, when I read the thing, I'm like, did I read the plot right of this one? And then I watch it and I'm like, okay, this is definitely different. And then when, like Kevin said, the end, I was like, okay, well, this took a different turn than I expected it to.
Yeah.
But it was one of those movies that I was sitting there watching, intrigued, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely something I've never seen before, so I'm going to continue watching it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was a good time. I've watched it a couple times actually, so it's one of those ones that I like. I want to go back and see that again or whatever. Like like Soda Effects did the monster stuff in it, and they're awesome. Like, Marcus is ridiculous. So like I always like when I see that their names are in the credits, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. So yeah, there's a lot to like about it. I mean, I think this was a good one. I mean, I've liked all of Harrison stuff. I think I like this one the most. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think when I emailed Harris not too long ago and said I hope that he stays on this path in terms of okay, I forget who did Welcome to the Dollhouse. Maybe you guys would know, but or there's Alexander Payne stuff, or because this one is really a combination of an independent movie and then sort of I would say a creature feature type of thing. It's got that kind of like District 9 element for The Fly, where he's, the main sort of like, ooh, what's happening here is how Davy's sort of regressing into something different. He's getting sicker and sicker as it goes. And the real story behind it, which is not, I don't think what it was meant to be at first, because the original screenplay was much bigger. It was about two guys on a road trip, and as they were out in the desert somewhere, stop at like a kind of whorehouse and get mixed into this box issue that they steal, and it becomes this kind of mad camp like road trip of the people trying to get the box back and these guys having the box. That wasn't manageable, so Harrison had the screenwriter come up with a new idea of how do we keep it more contained on a smaller level. And but by doing that, he really opened it up to that sort of like Alexander Payne and Todd Solondz. Now I'm remembering Welcome to the Dollhouse, or a Jim Jarmusch kind of movie where it is sort of like there's character work involved, and there's kind of, it's relying on the actors to act in scenes, a lot of talking, so to speak, on that independent level, but at the same time throwing in that kind of the effects stuff from Roy and Soda and stuff like that. And so I found it was pretty cool like that. It reminded me a lot of sort of like Tales from the Crypt or Creep Show, like what would be normally like a good 1 hour sort of anthology TV experience, but sort of dragged out to an hour and a half.
I actually got kind of, I said it when Sarah was on, it's not like the movie really much at all, but when I was watching it, I was thinking, I kind of want to watch Basket Case again. Like it almost like made me think of Basket Case somewhat, but that's not a bad thing. I like Basket Case, but it's far enough away from it where it's nothing like it. It just reminded me of it, I guess, a little bit. But
yeah, absolutely. And I was privy, obviously, to the script, so I was kind of wondering. And when Tony said, "Oh, he didn't see that coming at the end," I don't know. Since I knew it, when I watch it, I'm like, I almost assume people kind of can get ahead of it a little bit, like, oh, I know where this is going.
Right.
But it works. The ending is creepy and sort of morose and sad at the same time because of what he gives up. Sort of that trail of murders that happen in his sort of journey, and then the sort of like how he's put into his own hell from his choices at the end. And really, though, at the same time, and again, I think this might have been Harrison that worked with the writer to sort of mold it into this. It's a simile of addiction. What the film is, if you really follow it, hey, just go there once, don't do it again. And then he tracks down where the box is, where the whorehouse is. He gets involved with the box more, ends up taking the box, housing it at like the sleazy hotel, almost like it follows the sort of route of addiction, whether it's sex addiction or drug addiction, and sort of downward spiral of his life. I'm his coworker, and so he's screwing up at work. He's not showing up. I'm covering his work. I'm covering for his wife, so his marriage is actually not repaired. It's going downhill
the other way
because of it. So it really is kind of destructive on his whole life. This sort of like that he's addicted to the box, so to speak. So that box can really be anything.
Right. Yeah, you could replace it, but it just makes it cooler that it's a box that he's banging.
Yeah.
It makes it more interesting. It's like, okay, this could be anything, but
right.
This, like, holy crap. And then you look at the poster for it too, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, it's pretty graphic.
Well, see, that's like that thing, like that's kind of like the blob kind of ooze coming out, but it also, the way the artist did it, sort of reminiscent of a tongue.
Yeah.
In a weird way, reminds me of my Scary Movie mask or Gene Simmons.
Yeah. So, do you have a trailer?
That would be a good. Maybe I'll go as the box for Halloween next year.
Yeah, just put a box in your head. Just put the tongue in your head.
Yeah, and have the drippy crap coming out.
Hopefully, you don't run into that dude. Hopefully, you don't run into him at a party. He's like, "Hey,
I can put a straw in it for drinking, but I don't know if I'm going to do that because I'm asking for other things to be stuck in it as the night goes on, and maybe that I wouldn't want that."
Yep.
Well, we do have the trailer, and we want to remind everybody that we are giving away 5 copies of the movie. There's a link in the show notes down below or above. It's a King Sumo link. Doesn't cost you anything to enter. You just put in your email address, and you click some buttons for some extra entries. Then we're going to be randomly pulling 5 winners at the end of next week's show. You got a full week to enter and get extra entries throughout the week as well. And again, that's the King Sumo link in the show notes. And also in the show notes, all the information for our awesome guest, Dave Sheridan, even his Doofy2020.com, where you get some awesome shirts. But here we go. Here's the special.
You have to, Jerry. She cheated on you first, right?
So I have to cheat on her?
Please, we could try again. You're a good guy, and you're a great husband. And that is why I have the perfect thing for you. We're here for the special. Trust me, it is not what you think.
Dick in a box.
Jerry has found the special.
Don't bring this one back. Tell him to not return.
Can you just tell me where to find Madame Zhora?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Closed.
No, special.
You don't go in there for any reason. Not when I'm here, not when I'm not here.
Does he seem like himself to you lately?
I could be with it again.
Your future is about to get rocked.
And Leo played the boob trailer again. Hooray! Live on the internet, everyone. Hopefully, they said 18 plus, right? So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really, obviously, I want people to go see it and support filmmakers and everything. But yeah, this is a good one, and it's very different from what people mostly know you from, which is the very comedic stuff. You've obviously you've done a lot of roles recently or over the last, like, I don't know how many years, where you're more on the serious side, like the stuff with Rob Zombie and like that. So is that like a conscious decision? Are you trying to distance yourself from the comedic stuff more?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm trying to distance myself from the comedic stuff, but after doing the Rob Zombie film, The Devil's Rejects, then maybe a few years later, I got some calls about doing some horror conventions to do a Devil's Rejects reunion, cast reunion panels and stuff. And I was not really privy to, I didn't understand that world of the horror conventions themselves. And once I was exposed to those and I saw the fans and how loyal they are and how much fun it was to go to these conventions, quite frankly, and interact with the fans. On the comedy side, there really are no comedy conventions like that, I mean, people do stand up, and so I wasn't about to say, oh, I'm going to go and try to go do a bunch of stand up, because that takes years to learn, and it's much easier for me to be funny on the fly in movies. And I'm funny at the conventions. Come and see me. Actually, I'll be December 12th and 13th in Orlando at Spooky Empire pop-up. Will be my next one. That's in like 3 weeks. So if you're in the Florida area or in the southern area of the hemisphere, I don't know, like country, but come on down. It'll be a lot of fun. And I love interacting with the fans. So once I discovered that, but I also knew I don't have enough horror credits, because I would look over and somebody like Kane Hodder would have this line, because he has a hockey mask, and a machete. So I was like, okay, I can go to Big Five and get the hockey mask, but I need to build up my credits. So that was around 2014 that I did my first horror convention. And so I kind of pulled back from doing the conventions and said, let me go and focus on just sort of like building up more of a resume in the horror world. And it's also one of the genres that is sort of like heavily in the independent market and films getting made. It's easier to try to come up with a way to make $100,000 or a $200,000 horror movie. Comedies cost a lot more money, because gags cost money. Jokes in general are they don't come free. Physical gags and stuff. So horror is acceptable to be in a lower budget. Producers or financiers want to be in that business of investing in that, because they all have that hopes that this is going to be a Blair Witch, this is going to be a paranormal. So I'm not calling them suckers, but you can get more financing with lower budget horror movies. There's just more availability, because even if there might be people that finance a slate of doing 10 $100,000 movies at $1 million and sort of playing that numbers game at a craps table, where one of them is going to earn their money back. So obviously it also was sort of a way for me to go, hey, there's more jobs out there, there's more films. And also when you sort of delve into the lower budget movies, myself as an actor, I sort of have more available roles that are different than what I'm normally given. So on the comedy side, I love comedy. I came up, that's what I've done since I was a kid, and studied in school and went to Second City in Chicago and was on stage there and stuff. So that's in my DNA. But in terms of stretching my boundaries or challenging myself as an actor, I think I have more opportunities in the horror world to play different roles because some of them are going to tinge a little bit more serious than others. With that said, if let's just say I have 10 horror credits, a lot of them I do play the lighter character of these horror movies because horror movies really do need levity. They do need a sense of comedy to bring things back to a ground zero, as if you're building a ghost, a ghost jump, like a jump scare kind of moment, or even a gore moment. It can't be all gore, and you can't keep doing this because you have to have the audience sort of settle back down and reset. And to have sort of the comedy element is a really quick way to get the audience heart rate to go from that to and like settle back down to reset up another moment. So
and you're good at it. That's the thing, is you're good at it. It like I was saying earlier, it seems very natural. Like, off the cuff. You're obviously a funny dude. Like it's obvious, and it's good to see that you're going out there and doing some different stuff too. Because I've always, like, everything I've seen you in, I'm like, there's that dude again. Like even before, like years ago, like with Ghost World and everything, I'm like, hey, it's the guy from the movie. Like I loved Ghost World. I think it's phenomenal, and you're hilarious in it. But it also, like, it's appropriate for the movie. And if you were that in like every movie, it wouldn't be appropriate. It has to be appropriate for the movie. And what I've seen with the more serious stuff, where you have the little bit of levity, like you said, it works. It's
called for.
Yeah, totally.
Like I think in the special, I kind of was like, since most of my stuff either happened, it's all with Davey for the most part, and we were sort of fortunate to have sort of an instant rapport. We got along really well, and that really was sort of the relation that we were building inside the film, because we had to come off like we were buddies. And since my character Mike is kind of a jackass, the guy that does get him into trouble, the guy that is going to bring him home drunk, from the bar. But it's kind of like you have to say, well, why does he hang out with Mike? Well, part of it is because he's his sort of pseudo boss at work, but the other part is, Mike has to be likable with Davey to an extent. They need to have some camaraderie. But because a lot of it takes place at the office, and I love Mike Judge's The Office, and I remember Gary Cole in that movie just like killing it, and so I try to do my version of that sort of confident jackass at the office, trying to play it smaller in some ways, than I normally do. But it was a lot of improvise. We definitely improvised the stuff, especially stuff in the car. After
was the middle finger thing? Was that improvised, or was that? Or
what was the middle finger thing?
How many fingers am I holding up?
Yeah. With the bag.
Yeah.
How
did people not lose their shit? Like I would have ruined it.
Well, we were in the car alone because that was outside. So the windows were up because we got to turn the heat on. We shot that in Pennsylvania when it was -8 degrees outside. I was actually kind of waiting for the camera to freeze up, but the poor PAs that were like making sure the cars were locked off, not coming into the parking lot, or just the DP and everything having to like run, like they were literally, because everything's digital now, so they have to touch the touch screen. You have to take your glove off, and it's like that whole thing from like Christmas Story. It was like the little bit of moisture is freezing my finger automatically to the touch screen of the red camera. So it's kind of funny. I felt bad for them. I was glad I was in a nice warm car.
Yeah. I would have blown it. Like I would have totally just, like, you're laughing too hard. You need to stop, or you need to leave, or whatever.
I don't want to give a spoiler alert away to anyone, but has everyone here seen the film?
Yo-Yo hasn't seen it. He's just been working too much, but yeah.
Unfortunately.
I don't want him to see it. No. Turn around. No.
Yeah, stop.
But so I'm not going to give away, some of the storyline, but you mentioned the bag over the head in the car. That's because I know, like, hey, you're going to go get the special, but I don't want you to know where it is.
Yeah.
So I dig up a plastic, shopping bag, grocery bag. And there was a scene later on where a similar bag is used. And in that scene, there was supposed to actually be a stabbing and blood, and it was going to mess up, first of all, wardrobe, which in independent movies, you tend to wear your own wardrobe. So you don't have doubles for stuff like that. And it's like, hey, this is a Banana Republic shirt. I don't want to get this ripped open and you know, like, so ultimately, and we were at someone's house that we were, you know, borrowing a friend of Harrison's house. And it's like, well, they don't want the kitchen messed up. So we came up with an alternative, and it sort of was another shopping bag, but it naturally, and I saw the bag stuffed between, you know, people keep the bags and they were like stuffed between the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this would be great because then it bookends the film in a weird way, because the story starts with a bag on the head and there's kind of an ending with a bag on the head, which is actually in the trailer if you look really quick. So
yeah, that's awesome. I don't want to go too deep into the special. I want people to obviously see it, so go enter to win. But I definitely want to touch on your past and like you know, your history, you know, in the industry. There's a few very interesting things I didn't know until I was reading up on IMDb. We all know that sometimes that's not right, but it said that you were an intern at SNL.
Yeah. I was a writer researcher for Weekend Update. And it was Kevin Nealon's first season after Dennis Miller. Yeah. I worked there for a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like, I've heard like so many horror stories with SNL. Like, was it as intense as people say it is to be there?
Well, I never caught any intensity on my side, but it's a blast and it's a lot of hard work because it's live. So your week starts on Tuesday and ends, you know, Saturday night at 1 a.m. and then there's a party afterwards. So really you're getting home like at 4 on Saturday morning, and that's why they give everyone Monday off. So I had a blast, and it was a good cast, and that was the year that Wayne's World came out too.
Oh, nice.
So it was cool to be shooting the show and sort of watching a hit unfold from the show, from watching Michael Myers. And not Michael Myers from Halloween, but Michael Myers from Canada. Although Michael Myers might be from Canada, maybe he was.
We don't know.
I don't know. So yeah, but like it was sort of watching that guy become a superstar.
That's
you know,
awesome.
This is kind of neat. Yeah.
I've only been on that set once. I went to see Conan, and we did a tour, and they brought us in there, and we actually went in there when Radiohead was doing a sound check. So that was the other cool part about it, but. It's surprisingly small, but it's really neat. Like, it's really neat that you were even involved even for that year and a half. It's pretty great, especially because, you know, coming from Second City and stuff like that too, right? Was that before or after Second City?
No, so while I was working, I wanted to be a performer. The Weekend Update section of the job, and the main producer on that was Herb Sargent from the very beginning, 75. And the main director was a guy named Dave Wilson, who was still there when I was there. I was there in 1989, 90, and 91. And basically, so most of the original people from 75 were all there still. And so I think it was the 25th anniversary year that I was there. And so it was pretty cool. I had a jacket, 25th anniversary. So, but the two guys I worked with were Dan Wilson and Tom Wilson, who were Dave Wilson's son. And they worked there for 12 years prior. And I kind of knew that, like, well, it's hard to break. You know, there might have been a lateral move to be a writer. Steve Corrin was also with us at that time, and he went on to then getting a writing job, and then he went on to working with Adam Sandler, and he wrote Click, I think it was, and a bunch of movies. So he was one of my coworkers at the time. So there was a way, but it was a longer, maybe I don't have the patience. But there was no pathway to being a performer. They were not going to hire a not ready for primetime performer there, you know, from a crew member. Chris Elliott's brother, by the way, was also like a cue card.
Oh, really?
Forever. His dad, Bob Elliott, had a show on. Was an NBC guy.
Yeah, Bob and Dave. Was it Bob and Dave?
Huh?
Was it Bob and Dave? Yeah.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of, I wouldn't say nepotism, but there's a lot of families interworking. So it was funny to see Chris, because I loved Chris Elliott on the David Letterman show at the time.
Yeah.
And I think Cabin Boy or whatever it was.
Yeah. And you had that show Get a Life that was on Fox. Get a Life.
Yeah. Was that after or before? It might have been before with Brian Doyle Murray. Again, a lot of Murrays. It's a lot of like, I wish I would have had more brothers and sisters, but I killed them all. So at that time, the sort of clique in the performers was like Chris Rock and David Spade and Rob Schneider and Chris Farley. They had their own little office, and Adam Sandler and Chris Rock, they knew I wanted to be a performer, and they took me out and did stand up, and I opened up for them a lot in New York.
That's
and
awesome.
I bombed. I really did. I didn't have an act. I didn't know what I was doing, but we were talking on like a Tuesday after the weekend that I went out with Chris Rock, and Farley was like, "Well, what do you do? What's your act?" And I said, "Oh, I do commercial parodies. I do like sketches. And I play the characters and do the voices." And that's when he said, "Well, it sounds like you would fit in more at the Second City." And I didn't know what the Second City was as a theater or improv. I didn't really know any of that. I did know SCTV. It was John Candy and Eugene Levy and Rick Moranis and everything like that. Yeah. And but I didn't know how that went all the way back and tied to Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and John Belushi, the original. And the reality was that what Second City Chicago is where really Saturday Night Live came from. Lorne Michaels saw Second City and said, "I'm going to bottle this, take these guys and make a TV show out of what they're doing on stage." And that also, Second City in Chicago has such a long history. I mean, Alan Alda and Alan Arkin were some of the original ones. So the list goes on. It's crazy how many people came out of there. Ed Asner. So basically, Chris Farley then made a phone call, and he got me hired at Second City in Chicago. And it was that chance of a lifetime in a weird way of like, you gotta, that whole like Eminem kind of song where it's like, you got to walk through that door. If somebody opens that door, I wasn't really ready to leave. It was like that thing of like, I could stay here and keep working at Saturday Night Live and have a good 15-year, work my way up, maybe crack into something else or just stay in New York. But I do like adventure and I like the unknown. And when someone like Chris Farley, who was a bona fide star in his own right away. I mean, really, people were like, he was on fire from the moment he got on that show. So I didn't want to pass that opportunity up. So, and that's what I did. I went to Second City, was there for like 3 or 4 years. I was on stage with like Steve Carell, Steve Colbert, Amy Sedaris. Were the people I worked with.
Amy Sedaris is amazing. I love Amy Sedaris.
She's great. She's in some of my early short films that I shot at Second City there.
Really? Are those online? Because I was watching some of your older stuff today. Are those, they're not fine?
No, not online. On VHS. Speaking of,
really, that's funny.
I could run and get it. It's like 25 feet. I'll show you guys the box. Hold on, it'll take 2 seconds. Because I was looking at it the other day. Yeah, I've never, because this was like, you got to understand, this was 90. Now this is 92 to 93. The 3 years that I was there, and I shot a bunch of shorts. And then I put them all on, by the way, I have 10% battery. How long does this show go for? We're going to find out. I ended up shooting this called American Chameleon. And this tape, and you can see the different license. I had a little thing going where I went around, whenever I was around in different states in the country, I would get license. And that's actually, because he's on this short film, the Ghost World character. And there was me in Texas when I was living there and became Doug from Ghost World. But Oh, you know who else is on here? Horatio Sands.
Oh, nice.
Ian Roberts from the Upright Citizens Brigade.
Yes.
Amy Sedaris. There's the credits and stuff like that. So.
That's honest.
There's my nice package. There you go.
Nice.
In 3D. Yeah. So I guess I need to figure out a way to take this and turn it digital.
Yeah. It's doable.
I kind of like not having stuff available online, and there was a guy that emailed me or messaged me on FaceTime that he found one of these, and he was looking for it for a long time. I have a box of them, but he found one at a thrift store, and he sent me a photo, and he said, man, I'm so stoked to find this because I heard about it. And he found it at a thrift store just recently, maybe 6 months ago. And then he said, hey, is it all right if I put it online on YouTube? He was going to cut it up. And I'm happy he asked me. That was polite of him to ask, because he honestly had every right to just go and do it. And I asked him not to, and then he said he respected that, so he didn't do it. So, because I feel like, well, if I, maybe I'll put it on, but at the same time, everything's online. My asshole is online. You can, there's just too much. We're online. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at this.
Feel let us
group of
online.
Idiots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I like the idea that there's things that are special. I had a show from Second City from this tape. This is back in the day before there was the internet. The only thing there was AOL and chat rooms.
Yeah.
Back in this period, and so I mean, so this was what sort of traveled around. This was the viral, was people getting these tapes and copying them.
I'm legit. I'm gonna have to try to track down a copy of that.
No, you're not.
Same here.
Good luck.
Well, I'm just saying, when the pandemic is over, I'm gonna try to find it.
Yeah.
I mean, not online. I mean, like a physical copy. Yeah. Then I'll have to find a VCR because I haven't had one of those in years. But
that's my problem. I don't have a VCR. I definitely tossed them out. So.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be the harder part to find.
But from that tape, then the journey was from there. MTV saw this stuff and actually saw it because they came through. When I was at Second City on stage, Conan came through with Rob Smigel, who I knew from Saturday Night Live, and they were casting Conan's show. His talk show, looking for writers. So I had an interview with them, and Comedy Central. I had several meetings with, because Amy went on with Paul and who has that talk show now? I mentioned his name.
Colbert.
Colbert.
Oh yeah. Colbert. Yeah, they did Strangers with Candy.
No, before that they had Exit 57 though.
Oh, that's right.
Right. That was their show that they got to New York with.
Okay.
Once they left, then they were in New York doing that, and I remember having some meetings with that, and that was actually Lorne Michaels' company, Broadway Video or whatever, and so
I forgot about that show. I got to track that down.
Then it was a guy named Jim Jones, not the guy killing everybody with Kool-Aid, but he had a show on MTV called Austin Stories, which was kind of a take on Slacker on that independent film. So it was, and they were casting, and I actually went on tape and I had meetings with them for that, and that's when I got on MTV's radar. I didn't do Austin Stories, but then from these tapes, they called me and said, if you move out, we want to give you a development deal. We'll give you a 1-year development deal, come up with your own show. And then they said, you can come to New York, where really that's where Viacom's headquarters were, but they were just starting to open up LA offices. And I was like, well, I've been to New York and I've been to Chicago. I'm going to go to, I'm going to keep working my way because I want to get to Hawaii, because, that's where all the main real deal is in comedy, is Hawaii.
Right.
And
spam. There's a lot of spam there too.
Yeah. No, I wanted to be a bounty hunter. And so I was like, I got to get to Hawaii. I know I have a shot.
That's away from the giant tits.
Exactly. So I went to LA with my development deal, and eventually that became Buzzkill, which was a show that I was like a hidden camera show, which has elements. There is a lot of I have the van in here, and we do a lot of what I would coin a lot of this is like guerrilla television or guerrilla theater, where a lot of this is me as the characters in real life, just sort of interacting with people as the characters. And so sort of like Ali G stuff, but maybe a decade before.
Yeah.
And so that's where that show Buzzkill came from, was part of this tape. So
that's awesome.
And again, I own that show with MTV, but when they canceled it, we did 21 episodes. I edited it all. And so I had all the master tapes. And so I never gave them back the master tapes. So that's why it's pretty hard to find Buzzkill stuff online as well, because I don't want to put it on there. And a lot of people hit me up. Oh man, it was so funny. I remember it as a kid. My whole thing is what you remember as a kid, and now things have gotten so hardcore. It would pale in comparison. The production value, it would just actually think people would go like, oh, I like that. That sucks. Right. So it's probably
I don't know. I think it's a nostalgia factor for me. I mean, I go back and I watch like the 90s stuff that I loved, and it's 10 times better than like comedy. Like you were saying before, how comedy's a little bit harder because it is a straight line. With horror, at least you have subgenres where you can try different things, and it'll still. There's so much under the horror genre that you can try different things. Comedy, it's like you either like the comedy or don't. And like I grew up with like Mel Brooks's comedy and stuff like that. So a lot of these new comedies, it's like I'm like I've seen it so many times, and the same jokes are getting rehashed. And I'm like, it's not to say like I grew up with Daniel Stern and Dan Aykroyd and Chris Farley and stuff. And then some of the, sometimes I'll watch a movie and I'll laugh here and there, but there was movies in the 90s when I was laughing through the entire movie. Now you get like one or two chuckles. So if you put some of this old stuff out there, or, you might say, oh, people will look at it and be like, I think it'll be the exact opposite. I think people are yearning for some of this older stuff, and some of these, the younger generation, they don't even know what comedy is now, but
they really don't.
That's my opinion. I mean, the stuff from back then, I find myself still. I could watch a movie 100 times, know it's coming, and still, crack up just as much as I did the first time I watched it. So,
yeah, it's true. I my son and I like to watch a lot of movies, and we, pretty much start in the mid '60s. We don't go back too far in the '50s and stuff. And occasionally we'll watch some black and white stuff, but you hit that stretch in the 70s and the 80s of the comedies and of the horrors, and I don't know why they're just so good, and so we spend
those are the glory
years
days
there. I'm like, let's go to this one, let's go to that one. Like is all the John Carpenter stuff, or just all the Eddie Murphy films, all the Bill Murray films, whatever the comedies are. I think we're watching Red Heat right now, which is Jim Belushi and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice.
Well, that one's good because I like watching all the stuff in Chicago, because again, looking back at the stuff I watched in high school, then I went to Second City, and then you go, oh, you watch these Chicago movies, and you go, I was there, I was here, and I also knew these actors now. You know what I mean? Like you get that why they would shoot there. So, but by the way, Tony, we don't use the word old or older. We like vintage or retro. Okay?
I apologize.
It's all good.
One of these days you'll be older, Tony. No, stop.
Yeah, it will never happen. He's
too
young for life. You're young.
We'll always be older than him. God damn it.
Hey, really quick, what I'm finally figuring out with the StreamYard thing, because I've done a bunch of these. I started this thing at 40% battery. I go 40%, that's usually half a day. But now I'm realizing that this must drain so much. So this thing came up worth 10%. Do we have like 2 seconds for me to run and get a plug?
Yeah.
Talk amongst yourselves. Coffee talk.
Will do.
Well, you could throw up the special trailer again.
Yeah. So
remember boobs in it. Remember, everyone, there's boobs in it.
Totally. So I want to remind everybody that we are giving away 5 copies of the special. If you head in the show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us, you'll see a King Sumo link. You click on that. It doesn't cost you anything to enter. You just got to put in your email address, and then we'll be randomly picking 5 winners next week. And there's a couple things you can click to get some extra entries as well. But the system automatically randomly chooses them. And we'll pick the winners end of next week. And then also, if you head on over to doofy2020.com, you can get some awesome shirts available by our awesome guest. And here we go. Here's the trailer for the special.
You have to, Jerry. She cheated on you first, right?
So I have to cheat on her?
Please, we could try again. You're a good guy, and you're a great husband. And that is why I have the perfect thing for you. We're here for the special. Trust me, it is not what you think.
Dick in a box.
Jerry has found the special.
Don't bring this one back. Tell him to not return.
Can you just tell me where to find Madame Zhora?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Closed. No, special. You don't go in there for any reason. Not when I'm here, not when I'm not here.
Does he seem like himself to you lately?
I could be with it again.
Your future is about to get rocked.
There we go. And Dave lost picture. You with us, Dave?
Coming back. Shit.
That's okay.
Kevin, I sent you a link via Facebook.
Yes. Now here's a question. If I happen to use a alias and I go to this this website, could I win a copy? I haven't won anything on this thing in a long time.
Trying to think of what his alias would be.
Tony has 10 fingers.
I was going to say Anthony has all fingers.
So, Dave, when you come back,
I'm back. I think I worked it out.
I was able to find that VHS on eBay, selling for $30.
And it's used, probably, right? Is it used? Yeah.
Do you have new ones?
Yeah, this is shrink wrapped, man.
I'll buy one off of you.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk later.
I promise I won't rip it. I promise. I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah. We'll we can.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, but just like I know.
Here's the deal. Just to let you know, I have 2 projects coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when. I've been holding on to. I got probably 20 of these, and a bunch of CDs of music. I put out two different bands that I put out and it's the same thing with the Doofy 2020. And I said that when I did a video for launching the Doofy 2020. The last thing my wife wants is a box of leftover shirts, because I've got boxes of various shirts. Eventually, I don't know if they rot away, so I'm gonna have to get rid of them at some point. But I've been doing some Indiegogo's with other projects, not mine, and they do well. And so I'm gonna probably do an Indiegogo for one of my. I've got 2 sort of. I would call them you could call them passion projects or just my own projects, but I need to do something where I'm going to raise some money for them. And I thought that these would be things like this would be good to hold out and then sort of like do those as perks and stuff like that. And
yeah, that is a good idea. The only thing that stinks is that I won't be able to buy one from you. But anyways.
But I'm saying I might launch it by end of January. Might start one.
All right. Well, I'll keep my ears to the internet. I don't know if that's the thing. But I know where. Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I just wanted to bring up how you said you were, getting big into the convention part at one point in time. Now, you said you didn't have, too much stuff to your credit or like horror movies under your belt. But it's one of those things where, especially with the horror community, as long as you do one, they'll probably go and check out your other stuff. So I'm sure that once you, went to the conventions, I'm sure Doofy came up and I'm sure, everyone, came up to you for that. Is that the case or?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that right now, even say like I did Victor Crowley or I have the Haunted House movies. There's a Walking Dead spoof called The Walking Deceased. We'll have the special out now, the Bloody Summer Camp and Big Freaking Rat, whatever some of these other ones I've done, the Killer Rose one. But it's never going to not be The Devil's Rejects or Scary Movie, especially since Scary Movie was a worldwide phenomenon and Doofy still is like prevalent today. because of memes. He's a meme. He's different. Like you could just go through and find 100 different Doofy memes that say something. This is me and my boss on Monday. Whatever it is, and now when COVID hit, then there's ones like I'm essential and like whatever. There's Donald Trump ones. There's Proud Boy Doofy ones. There's all sorts of. He just represents the it of idiocy. So therefore, I guess he'll always be around because our society's always going to have a certain section of nonsensicalness and idiocracy. I love that. I love Mike Judge stuff. I've worked with him several times. But Idiocracy is just something like it's like now it's come full circle where that is the world we live in. So Doofy's never going to die in a weird way because he's actually surpassed the movie itself. It's funny that he's the character out of that movie, which technically is because he's the killer and he's sort of the star. At the end of the day, he's the star of the movie. That sort of holds the whole thing together.
For both movies, though, there usually is one person who stands out. For yours, it was Doofy. Then there was the second one with Chris Elliott, where he's like grabbed the strong hand.
Yeah, the little
and him and David Cross blowing himself in a wheelchair.
Yeah. So I think that ultimately when I do the conventions, unless I have something that tops it, the Devil's Rejects or Doofy are going to be. That is like if you look at my table, half of the pictures are Doofy, and then there's a quarter that are Devil's Rejects, and then people come up saying, "Hey, do you have a Ghost World one?" Or I like Bubble Boy, or whatever these other ones are. But so I do have almost every photo from every movie, but I don't put them out because really people are there for that one thing, and so I had to embrace it. I wish before Scary Movie, I was doing a film with Mike Judge, and that's why this character is in Texas there. We were actually on location shooting. Daniel Stern was actually involved. You brought him up. Terry Zwigoff was on as a director for this character, for Doug from Ghost World. It was a Demolition Derby movie, and Richard Linklater and Mike Judge were producing it. I wrote it. A lot of great actors in it. Amanda Plummer, Ashton Kutcher was in it before he hit. But it didn't happen. It kind of collapsed, buried in a budget that grew out. The budget, because it was a Demolition Derby movie, and this was the Weinsteins were doing this film. I was already in business with Miramax. And so Scary Movie was kind of like the afterthought of this film. I sort of got into Scary Movie because they were already making a film with me. The irony is that Scary Movie got made, and then this movie fell apart. And that's when Terry Zwigoff, who was no longer on our film, then went on to do Ghost World. He called me up and said, "Well, what do you look like?" And I go, "I look like the character," because we were about to shoot. And he said, "Well, why don't you just come and give me a couple days on, actually it was one day, on Ghost World." And so that character was not written in the original script, and I just went there and improvised that scene.
Oh, wow.
So when you watch that movie, it's sort of why it just kind of comes out of nowhere and pops. Like, what the heck is this guy all of a sudden? So,
but it's a great scene. Like it's one of the most memorable things of that movie. I mean, I love the movie, but I don't know, it's great. So I just I know we have to wrap at some point soon, but what are you going to say, Leo? Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I also just saw that you're in Sky Sharks.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
When is that coming out? Like, is that out?
We'd like to know. We've had Jan Birch on multiple times, and every time he's like, "Oh, it's soon, it's soon."
There was a moment, again, where and I'm on my phone right now. I was in my garage, and I saw another Sky Shark, like an updated Sky Shark trailer. There's a bunch of them, but there's actually one that's really good. I was like, that one's good. I don't know why they're doing too many. They're trying to find what the trailer is. They definitely have distributing. It's through Sony. I don't know, what the holdup is on. Again, it's one of these things that's probably going to be out in Europe before it's out here. Then I saw a link. It said Sky Shark full movie. Download it, but it was on my phone. So I emailed it to myself the next morning because the download was there. The next morning I went to go get it, and it was gone. Like the site was shut down. So somebody, it was so funny because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get it. And now my role in that is probably like that. You know what I mean? I play the kind of Quint from Jaws, like big game hunter. I played the big game hunter, kind of like a, just a sort of an African, but a white guy, but like I'm the African big game hunter, rhinos and elephants, and I'm the guy they bring in. It's like, this dude is going to take the sky sharks out, and I'm just a nut, like I just have a scene where I've just got 50 caliber machine guns in my hand, Rambo style, being like, let's go sky shark. So, I can't wait to see it because it's all green screen.
Yeah,
that's
it looks really cool. Yeah,
that's why it's taken so long to do. Is I've done 2 movies like this. There's another one already out called White Space, and if you haven't checked that one out, I think that's on Netflix. You could probably find it on Netflix and stuff like that. But that one is sort of Moby Dick in the future, set in space. So it's a space monster, and it's sort of the story of a fishing crew out in space going too far to catch this beast, and we meet our demise. But that was shot. The director from that was the effects artist for all the Christopher Nolan movies.
Oh, wow.
And so he did that over time. We did the whole thing green screen in like 2 weeks, but then it took him 5 years to piece the CG stuff together because he was doing it in between the Batman movies and the other Christopher Nolan, like Inception and stuff like that. But he was also taking it on the back of those high-end movies. He'd have 2 workers, on the pay for Sony, but he's working on his own film. So, yeah, I hope I get him in trouble. No, just kidding.
Sony listen. So they commented. No, just kidding. What's up there?
One of our friends, Karando Mitsutaki, just posted today. He hears it's hitting the festival circuit right now. Apparently, he's in the movie as well.
Which one?
Karando Mitsutaki.
Is in what movie?
Sky Sharks.
Okay, got it. Yeah. What did he say though? It's coming out.
He said he just posted this today. He hears it's hitting the festival circuit.
Okay, got it.
It's only been like 3 years, and I've been waiting for this thing.
Here's what it is. It's basically that kind of Sharknado in tone meets Iron Sky in look.
Yeah,
it's a combination of those 2 things. So,
and it's everyone that I love is in it, so it's great. There's like so many people in it. I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be great.
And that's the thing. Going out to filmmakers out there, young filmmakers looking to do something. When you shoot something like that on green screen, it's really easy to get. Like I showed up. I was probably 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Here's some money. 2 hours, in and out, and then like Jan, 2 hours. Whoever it is. It's like the Candyman.
Tony Todd.
Tony Todd's in it. Yep. And it was like, I think him and I went together and we left like before lunch, to set. So it's good for the actors. They like that. We like that. It's not like, I'm like Bloody Summer Camp was me going to Virginia, for a week, getting bit by mosquitoes, flying during COVID, and it's sweaty and it's hot and you're on location. I had a great time. But you're asking for a lot more sort of, I'm sacrificing a lot more of my time and energy and my location. But if you're like, hey, I'm setting up a green screen in my garage, when can you come by? Okay, pick me up Starbucks too, and then you're done. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it looks really cool. We're definitely looking forward to it. I know we have to wrap soon, but I definitely wanted to bring up your music. So you're part of a parody like metal band. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, well, that's one of the projects I'll probably launch. It's maybe a parody. People might call it a parody. I don't know what to call it, but it stemmed from the early guerrilla theater stuff that I did, and I also was involved in independent bands coming up from age 20 to 30, different punk bands in different areas in Chicago and San Diego. And my partner and I, we did music a lot. But then we found ourselves at 35, 36 going, well, what can we do? I don't really like country. If you're older, you can do country music. Or can we figure out a way to do something on its side, turn it on its side and tongue in cheek and in a comedy element, because then it's sort of passable why a 40-year-old is up on stage rocking. And that was the original auspice of the band Van Stone, was myself as sort of the Arrested Development rocker guy who is 40 years old, living at home with his mom, and he's singing songs about high school age stuff, which again, going back to like where I grew up with was like Kiss and Van Halen and Motley Crue, and there's like Hot for Teacher or Smoking in the Boys Room or Christine 16. And I just imagine when they were 45 or 40 having to sing those songs and be like, it's sort of, this is creepy. Why am I singing Hot for Teacher? You know what I mean? Or Smoking in the Boys Room. So we immediately wrote songs like Steve's Going on a Beer Run or Spring Break Forever or stuff like that when we're like 40. You know, we toured Warped Tour. And I remember looking at the chat room things and like somebody was like, they're amazing. The lead singer must have been about 50 and he drank like 35 beers. And the best part was I was 35, but the kid that was 13 saw me as a 50-year-old. And I thought that's even better, you know? So, but what we did was we rolled cameras on that for 10 years touring, and we built it up from a very small, you know, sort of punk venues of 100 people at a bar to going out to these big festivals where there's 50,000 people. And so it's kind of the meteoric rise of Randy Van Stone. It's the guy that goes up so fast. And I call it the movie's like a Moore's law of rock godness, because if the, you know, Elvis Presley took 20 years to come and go, and then Jim Morrison was 7, and then Kurt Cobain was 3, and it goes faster and faster, and Randy Van Stone never even got to the top before he burned out and blew himself up on stage. So that's what the story is. But it's all shot in reality. It's all real. We were a real touring band, because people always try to compare it to Spinal Tap, but Spinal Tap was written, improvised, produced. They never, when they shot the movie, they never actually like went out on the road, lived in a van, hauled their own equipment. We cover all that, and we really did that. The irony of being a fake band that was a real band was, at the same time, we actually ran into real band problems. There were egos involved. We weren't making enough money to be doing this. The guys that I hired to be in the band were real musicians, but I'm dressing them in these ridiculous outfits. And when you're not getting paid as a rock guy that plays rock music, well, there's 2 other things that you want. You either want free liquor, and you want to hook up with chicks. And with Van Stone, it was young boys that were like, like punk guys with tattoos, just dirty, like drunk people. And they would only give us a few free drinks. So my band members were pissed that we weren't a band that girls wanted to be near, because they were like, get the fuck away as far as possible from this band, because our stuff was pretty violent in a sense. So, but it's a really cool film, and it's sitting on 10 terabytes of footage. That's years, and it's almost too much to sort of go, how do I edit this together? Because I have pieces of it edited together, but at some point I have to kind of take a break and say, I got to focus on this.
Yeah. So, now, would you ever do
make it like a series? Maybe not a movie.
Yeah, I think it could be, but I still want to edit the whole thing, polish together, and then would an Amazon or a Netflix or an Apple say, we're going to break this up and shoot additional interviews and stuff like that to kind of break up into like a 6-episode series type of thing. Yeah.
It sounds interesting though. I'd like to check that out.
It's more like in line. I would say this, it's somewhere between a Spinal Tap and an Anvil.
Okay.
Where if you combine those 2 things and you say shot as Exit Through the Gift Shop was shot, that's kind of what it sort of endeavors to be.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. And I know we have to wrap, Leo, because a little bit over time. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and I hope people, get to check out all the various films that I've been doing and take them for what they are. Some of them, I'm going to be honest, some of them, they're done on budgets, and I hate watching these guys doing YouTube things break down a film that's shot for $100,000, where a lot of crew members aren't getting paid. Right. And there's no money being made because stuff's getting ripped off from these filmmakers, in a sense. The distributors make some money, but at the end of the day, once something's out there, like something like The Special, I shot, I'm not going to tell you what I got paid, but it was very little. The PA was getting as much as me, and there's never going to be residuals for it, because it's just not something that's going to earn residuals, because it's going to be ripped off to a point in terms of pirated. So we're doing it for our passion. but there's limitations to budget. So I watch these people do reviews as if it's on the same level as a Marvel movie for 150 million. It's not, and there's limitations to filmmaking. But the one thing I would say, my pledge to all the directors that put me in films, Felissa Rose has been great. She's a really close friend of mine, and we do a lot of stuff together. She likes to try to find things to challenge me. Hey, you haven't done this, which is that Killer Rose. I played the main heavy bad guy in that. There's another film called, it's James Bresnick, Bloodcraft. And I play a really dark priest who molests these kids. It's not a comedy at all. And, I like to be challenged in that sense. But the one thing is, I'm never going to mail anything in on any of those films. I'm always going to try to bring what I bring to the table because that's what I control. And ultimately, that's my resume. My resumes aren't the film. My resumes are my performance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely, Kevin said it many a times. It's like all these, half these people that either do like live reviews or written reviews, half the time they don't even watch the movie. They'll just read, the synopsis and do whatever. But then it's like, how many movies have we made? And it's like one of those things where we never made a movie, so we have, nothing to talk about. And it's one of those things where, I used to, before I got into this podcast, I looked at movies a lot different, but then having a lot of independent, directors and stuff on, and learning that you have a strict budget, a limited time, and then stuff happens. Like on big films, it's just 10 times more. It's like you have a week to shoot it, a limited budget, and then something really bad happens behind the scenes, and you got to do with what you have. And it's one of those things where, take it for what it is. Sometimes the quality isn't the best, the visuals, the sound or whatever, but it's something that, it was put out. It was more than we ever did. So it's tough seeing some of these people, review, and it's just like, you have no idea what what you're reviewing or how hard it was and whatever. And
yeah. Any filmmaker out there that gets a film made, finished, and I know because I'm working on ones that have been like 10, people go, when are you going to finish that film? It's like, I don't know, but it takes so much effort and so much sort of focus and to finish it, and to get it made, and starting with not only just writing the script, but putting it together and finding the financing. So I think it's already success for any film to be finished and put out. So, and I enjoy it. I love the fact that a lot of these independent movies, like for instance, the Bloody Summer Camp was in Charlottesville, Virginia, just outside Charlottesville. I've never been there. So, or I shot some films in Florida, different places of Florida. I'll be in Portland, Maine in January. So I've never been there. So it's cool that I get to also go to these cool places. Yeah. Huh?
It should be absolutely frigid cold up there in January. So
I know. I'm looking forward to it. I love. It'll be good because I'll be, as an actor, I'll be warm and I'll be inside the car.
That's true. That's true. You'll be flipping people off
this will be the window, like, are we rolling?
Just scraping it with your finger. But it's again, it's awesome. I don't know, like we haven't heard much from Yo-Yo. Do you have a favorite character that Dave's played? I mean, it's putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Honestly,
he's been in.
I like stuff. Devil's Rejects. I would actually have to say.
Oh, nice.
I do like.
Cool.
Nice.
I would say that there was a little like brokenheartedness when Rob went and made 3 from Hell, when it was clear that I killed them at the end of the movie. I'm like, what's people come up like, oh, it's the perfect movie. Devil's Rejects, man. That's his best movie. It's perfect in the ending. And it had that sort of like, Crazy Larry, Dirty Mary ending, to the movie. And I was like, yeah, this is perfect, and apparently I didn't kill them. So, and I think there might have to be now a sequel to that where my character, who's now the sheriff of Rugsville, has heard they've escaped and I'm out to finish the job.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll watch it. Yeah, that's for sure.
Maybe I'll make it a fan movie.
Oh,
so I don't have to. Maybe that would be my thing with Cody. So.
Yeah.
That'll definitely work.
Yeah, just
but
knock
I
on Bill's door.
won't let Bill Mosley or Sherry or well, I can't have Sid, but I just won't let. Maybe it'll just be Bill Mosley. I won't even let him know I'm shooting it. It'll be like a Bowfinger where I just follow him around to conventions and I'm in character, but I'm just like harassing him at the bar or something like that. He doesn't know.
I saw that one video of
Rejects too. You don't even know it.
I watched that one video of you as Doofy, like talking to Gary Busey at the con. That was great. That was great.
Yeah, Gary had no clue. It was like he thought they had to tell him later on that was an actor. He thought I was being this. That was just a fan coming by to say hi to him. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Did you guys have you seen that one, Tony?
Now I have to actually look this one up for sure.
Yeah, there's one of Doofy going through, and there's a convention, the convention in Las Vegas, and you're like putting your finger under the hand sanitizer. He's like, oh, it's good, and he just starts going like this with the hand sanitizer. It's wicked funny.
Yeah.
People have no idea what he's doing. They don't know that he's filming. Like people are walking, he's trying to vacuum around them as they're walking. It's great.
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, your ex is back. You brought your ex back.
What?
And the ex, the vacuum in the scary movie, that deleted scene where it's like, Doofy, no, I can't. I found someone new.
That's true.
Stop it.
I might try to get sponsored by Dyson now at the convention. Maybe I might just say that. Like I was just telling Feliz, I was like, I should get like a shirt, say Dyson or Hoover, and just tell people like I'm sponsored by. Yeah, they sponsor me, and just watch people sponsored by the vacuum thing.
Just have a different shirt.
Like,
if it's like a con that there's like 3 days, like have a different shirt. Like it's like like Dyson one day, Hoover another day. Ninja, I don't know.
The Ninja Shark or whatever it is.
Yeah. That'd be great until the lawsuits come in.
Bissell. I think Bissell's another big brand nowadays.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Where do you like fans interacting with you?
I don't. Please stop. Guys, I don't need any more dick pics. It's all dudes sending me dick pics. I don't know what that's about. At least send a vacuum hose. I think that either Facebook, which is just the Dave Sheridan one on Facebook, and I know there's a lot of Dave Sheridans, so just keep mailing every one of them, and then maybe it'll be me. Currently, the Facebook that has the Doofy 2020 that's mine. And then there's Instagram is Dave Sheridan official. That I don't run that. I don't run my Instagram or Twitter. That's like my production company, and I have producers and stuff and people that run that. I don't check in, but they forward me messages. Again, that's why I don't send the dick pics, because they're just going to somebody else, and God knows what they're doing with them.
Yeah.
And a whole different website for that.
We want to urge everybody, definitely head on over to doofy2020.com and get your Doofy 2020 shirts before 2020 is over. And Dave, I want to thank you for joining.
Yeah, they're still available. Just to let you know about that shirt, all the proceeds go to a charity. So I'm raising some money for a family that was sort of had a lot of tragedy in one of these previous last forest fires that happened, wildfires that happened out here in California. And you could probably find that video on my Facebook if you scroll down, because I don't post too much on Facebook. The only thing I've ever posted on Facebook was this Doofy 2020 thing. But ultimately, we're trying to raise some money. It's for a good cause. And it's a pretty funny shirt. And 2020 to me, it's fitting. You look at that Doofy 2020, it says it all. That is, I think he's the mascot of the way this year went. And I wanted to do something positive by raising money for this family, so that if you get the shirt, you put it on, you're not thinking about the crap that was 2020. You're thinking about a better part of humanity that we can all be. So,
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. I have a bunch of links in the show notes down below or up above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And also, very important is we have a contest going on for a copy of the special. We're giving away 5 copies of it. And if you head on down to the show notes, look for the King Sumo link, and just enter in your email address, and then click some buttons for some extra entries. We're going to randomly pull 5 winners at the end of next week's show, so we're going to give everybody a week to enter. And with that, yo, where do you like people following you?
Boy Meets Phone on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And you'll see it on those same social media channels. Tony?
You can find me at Tony Has Nine Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews and unboxings, anything movie related on YouTube. Tony Has Nine Fingers on Twitter, which I hardly ever use. Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me. And, of course, here almost every Tuesday on the Wicked Horror Show. Kevin?
A Knuckle on Instagram every Tuesday night here. Also doing reviews with the 13th Wolfman over on the audio side. And I'm also part of Black and White Fright and Secret Underground Hideout, all of which are on the network. Leo?
Yeah, and speaking of the network, all the shows, you can find them on thedorkening.com. If you head on over to thedorkening.com, you can find about 30 shows on the network, which is absolutely insane. And for me, just Google Leo Pond. It could be, you'll find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But you can also find me here producing this show every Tuesday, the Wicked Horror Show. I also do a Indie Creator Spotlight every Monday. And Wednesdays is crazy. I do the Still Token with and also the Dorkening on Wednesdays as well. I don't have enough going on with that.
I decided to show people I do have hair.
Oh, nice. Somebody does. I don't.
This is my Doofy hair. There is a Doofy. There's Doofy.
Oh, nice.
In fact, his whole outfit's right inside that thing because I've been doing. You said you've seen I've been doing the Doofy thing. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, really quick, I'd love to come back on the show someday. Like maybe when either the Killer Rose comes out, like Felissa and I can come on together.
That'd be amazing.
And fight over who's going to be talking, or if I can.
Or Sky Sharks.
Sky Sharks.
Oh yeah.
But when I get the Van Stone film is going to be called Last of the Rock Gods, and so when I launch that. On Indiegogo.
Oh, totally.
Come on here.
Definitely, yeah.
That'd be amazing.
And then maybe Kevin, I can.
What? All right, Leo, book it now. Right.
Yeah, totally. I believe I have your email, Dave, and definitely we'll keep in contact. And when you're ready to push stuff, let us know, and I'll get you around the other shows on the network as well.
Oh, that'd be great. I have a podcast too. My producer partner would kill me because he's always like, you never bring up our podcast. It's called the Dave and Creech Show. And I have no idea. We just started maybe doing this StreamYard stuff with it because it was just phone calls before. But again, if you go to the Twitter or the Dave Sheridan official or Dave Sheridan on Twitter, I'm sure there's links to the podcast. And we've had some great guests because ultimately it's just my friends. When I do a movie, I say, come on and let's talk about it. So
yeah.
I don't.
And then you have a YouTube channel as well, and that's where I saw a lot of the videos. So go to check out the YouTube as well.
I don't know I don't do any of that stuff. They're always begging me to give them photos. Like when I'm on set, they're like, send photos, so they can post stuff. Just to let you know, on this thing too, Kevin, is the original 2 films where Doofy came from, because his original character was Chip, and there's 2 shorts on here of Chip, which is what they saw when they said, why don't we put Chip in Scary Movie and we make him Doofy. So
cool. You're just making me want it more. You realize what you're doing
exactly.
to me? I'm gonna be frothing. I'm gonna be frothing tonight. I'm try to sleep and I won't be able to.
You're gonna spend that $30.
Really good. It's really good. It's so good.
I'm gonna have to buy it, and then I'm gonna have to buy a VHS player. Then I'm gonna have to buy
and for me, because I don't have one of those I don't have My Pillow. You got a My Pillow. Now you're gonna have My Bed. You ever seen this My Pillow guy?
Yeah.
He's got everything. He's got My Pillow, My Bed, My Sheets. Pretty soon he's gonna be coming to my house going, it's my house.
Yeah.
But these are almost perfect to sleep on.
Oh, nice. Nice.
For the kinks and the nicks. All right. I made Yo-Yo laugh. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. That's how we leave.
Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. Definitely check out the special. Enter for the contest with the links down below and up above. And we'll catch you guys later.